All right, guys, welcome back here. We are back for our second round of Modern of the Night, the third round overall. We're going to have for you on the left, Joel. It's not actually Joe, it's Joel. Get that updated for us. There we go. He is playing Merfolk. And on the right, we have Absdan, and I'll give you one guess what he's playing. He hasn't changed since Twin got banned. Well, that's not true, I guess. Well, the colors haven't changed. But yeah, so interesting matchup. Abzan versus Fish. Could go either way. Sparting Seas is a heck of a card. Really can restrict Dan's mana and make him just play nothing. So we'll have to see what Joel can do here. Joel also previously played Burn. Same list pretty much as Barry in fact. But yeah, has changed over to Merfolk the last little while. Has been playing that. So we'll see what he can muster here. I know that he does have post-board access to some Seas claims. Another Spreading Seas-esque card. So I'll see what he can do here. Game one, play draw probably be pretty important here. Mind you, if Joel's able to get off to a start that has multiple lords in play pretty early and just beat down if Dan doesn't have the answer to it. So, Spotter pointing out that he asked Dan what he thinks about Fatal Push, the new removal spell in Aether Revolt. Dan is very excited to add it to his deck. I think that's an understatement. For maybe those not familiar, Fatal Push is a single black. Destroy target creature if its CMC is 2 or less. If you have Revolt, which means if a permanent you control left the battlefield this turn, destroy that creature if its CMC is 4 or less. Instant speed, single black. Pretty good card. So we'll switch over to the big screen here for us, guys. Dan looking at a hand, Shambling Vent. I see a Noble Hierarch, a few lands, a Scavenging Ooze, a Grim Flare. This looks like a keep. Pretty easy. Pretty sure for a keep. Joel, on the other hand, decides that the 7 he saw was not good enough. He's down to 6. Of note, Dan's hand right now doesn't have any removal. So, or sorry, it has Path. But only the one spell, so multiple lords could still be very good. Grim Flare as well is going to definitely help get that fixed. Going to thin his draws out nicely. So Joel, looking at his 6, decides that it just can't be done. Down to 5 we go. So this is going to be a rough start for Joel. I mean, luckily for him, Dan doesn't have any sort of turn 1 hand interaction to strip him down further. But the lower you go against Abzan especially, the harder it gets. Let's see, Joel down to 5 now. Now, Inferno, is Dan a traitor because he went off a Twin or because he went off blue-red? Because Twin didn't really survive the banning, seeing as how Twin got banned. All right, so Joel is going to keep his 5. He's going to scry to the bottom. He's going to start on a Cavern of Souls. I assume it's naming Wombat, possibly Merfolk. But no turn 1 play. So Dan has, on the other hand, a Noble Hierarch off of a Verdant Catacombs. Oh, yes, sure. Joel did change from Burn. Verdant Catacombs gets an Overgrown Tomb. A Noble Hierarch starts things off. So Dan has, potentially the best start his deck can have. Noble Hierarch is a great card. No second land for Joel, however, and simply just draws and passes the turn. Here is that Grimflayer we talked about, so that's a good card. Standard All-Star, or was kind of on the back burner right now because Aetherworks Marvel just beats him. However, he's going to be great here as Joel still no second land. Here we see Dan connect, and it looks like in response to the trigger has decided to sacrifice his fetch land. Takes a land out of the deck, and I believe we're now going to see a Grimflayer trigger resolve. Swamp, Inquisition, Marsh Flats. I have to imagine... Yeah, just gets rid of the 2 lands, leaves Inquisition on top. Liliana can be played this turn. His hand is Path, Liliana, Scavenging Ooze. Seems pretty good. This is going to tick up, probably discard. I think he has another land to discard, or not, it's actually Abrupt Decay, I'm wrong. Okay, away goes a Path to Exile. Dan currently only has 2 card types in graveyard. So the Grimflayer is still a little ways from turning on. He does have the ability to turn it on next turn. He can Inquisition Joel, and then if he wants, discard his Scavenging Ooze. That'll give him 4. That'll let the Grimflayer attack for 4. Yeah, he's going to get a look here. It's pretty clear what Joel's on, obviously. So let's see. One Lord of Atlantis, a Spreading Seas, a Vapor Snag, a Silvergill Adept, a Master of Waves, and a Kira Great Glass Spinner. I think if you're Dan, just sure, Spreading Seas is fine. Yeah, it looks like he is going to go ahead and opt to turn on Delirium, I think. I'm not mistaken, he did. No, I'm wrong, actually. He just decided to discard another instance. So no Delirium yet for Dan. So this is still an attack for 2. So we see Verdant Catacombs, Lingering Souls, and Plains. Discards all 3 of them. Still no Delirium yet. But I imagine we're going to have the Scavenger... Or no, it's going to cast Lingering Souls at a graveyard. So 2 1/1 spirits incoming. There they are. In all their shiny glory. Passes the turn. Joel's had enough, however. Does not find a second land in the top. I don't know, was that 4 cards of his deck? So a little unfortunate, but keep a 1-lander on a mull to 5. Yeah, someone to sign up for that. So Dan takes a pretty quick game 1 there. Not too much in the form of play on Joel's side, unfortunately. Dan going to his sideboard, I'm sure has some cards for this matchup. Looks like he went straight to his Damnations, put those in by the looks of it. Engineered Explosives, sure, I agree with that. Don't really want Surgical, don't want Pithing Needle. I think those 3 are fine. The rest of your deck is pretty tailored to beating a creature-based deck, so... Did he bring in... Looks like he brought in Pithing Needle. Yeah, I wouldn't bring that in either. Doesn't do anything. Name's Ether Vial, I guess. But that's not good if Joel doesn't draw it. Okay, Dan bringing a bunch of cards in, it looks like. Joel has some cards as well. Again, I imagine Joel's probably bringing in any additional copies of Spreading Caesar Seas Claims. Just additional ways to take Dan off of his colored mana. Pretty important. You know, a 3-color deck. And if you're able to maybe catch him when he only has a single color of 1, pretty good way to just take him out of the game. So... I do put Dan ahead in this matchup, I think. I think he just has a deck that's just built to beat creatures. While, you know, progressing its board drastically. So I do like Dan's chances here. Joel, I can definitely win. Again, you know, a hand that has multiple lords, or is able to just shut off all of Dan's colored mana, can also just take the game down. So Dan brought in Pithing Needle and Surgical Extraction. I don't... What does Extraction do against Merfolk? Hits a Lord? They have 8 more. I don't know if I like that or that sideboard plan from Dan. Joel waiting patiently for Dan to finish shuffling. Dan not phased. No consideration. Just shuffles away. All right, let's see. So Joel's goal of this game is just to keep more than 5 cards, I feel. Well, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, Dan has a 1-land hand with Surgical Extraction Inquisition. So, you know, if you brought it in, this is the hand you can cast it with. It looks to be an Overgrown Tomb. So he would not be able to cast the Path or the Lingering Souls that he has in his hand. The Siege Rhino is obviously a dud as well, being a 4-drop with 1 land. Dan, I would say, correctly decides to mulligan that hand. I feel like keeping that hand is a recipe for disaster. Joel has kept his 7, though, so that's good for him. Well, Dan has Pithing Needle here, so if Joel does go turn 1 Ether Vial, that's going to be pretty good. Again, I don't think I like the inclusion of that in this sideboard package, at least for the Merfolk matchup. You snap off the Inquisition Surgical Extraction hand, Cody? All right. Well, that doesn't surprise me, so. So Joel did not have a turn 1 play. Oh, yeah. Get him. There it is, the Sea's Claim. Enchant land, it's an island now. So that land is effectively a Pithing Needle land. Sure. I imagine he's naming Aether Vial here. I mean, I don't know what else you name against fish. It is confirmed he is indeed naming Aether Vial. Sure. I mean, Joel's now just not going to cast them if he ever draws them. Just let them rot in his hand. Mutavault, I guess you could name that. Sure, there's that. Here we're going to see a Marrow Reejery come down. So this is one of the lords for the Merfolk deck. Other Merfolks get +1/+1 that you control, and whenever you play a Merfolk spell, you may tap or untap target permanent. So lets you play more stuff, lets you tap down your opponent's blockers or their lands or whatever you want to tap down. Dan has a lot of lands though, so this isn't really going to hurt him. Yes, I know, Martin, that is an ugly Reacher. Let's see if I can find the other one for us. Hold on. There he is in all his glory. Yeah, so Dan, if he wants this turn, has access to Liliana the Last Hope. It would shut down the Reejery from dealing any damage, at least as it stands right now. If he has another Lord, that will make it 1 power, at least. Dan sacrifices a Heath, gets a Godless Shrine. And, yep, plays Leona the Last Hope. So this is going to tick up on the Reejery, sure. So he'll give it -2/-1 until Dan's next turn. Just copy a Damnation in Dan's hand, a Scavenging Ooze, Lingering Souls, and a Siege Rhino. So he has an expensive hand. A 4th land for Joel. And along with that, he's going to play Lord of Atlantis, good choice. He's going to choose to untap an island. Thanks to the Reejery's trigger. And then follow that up with another Lord, it looks like, is my guess. Yep. Plays a different one, though. Mash of the Pearl Trident. It's going to untap his land again for him. Now he's able to turn on Mutavault. It'll be a 5/5 Mutavault. The Reejery is now 2 power. The Reejery not attacking is very interesting, seeing as how it was now a 2/4 or 2/3 in this case. But yeah, he kills Liliana, no problem. Dan really wants a land, so he's able to Damnation this board. However, he finds another Liliana, this time of the Veil. He's going to go ahead and play Lingering Souls. This doesn't do anything because they can't block. So Joel is able to attack for 5, 9, 13, 17. He's just dead. This should just be game. All of his lords are 4/4s, and the Mutavault is a 5/5. So this should just be game. Just for good measure, here's another lord. So I'm going to go ahead and count the math right now and make sure that sure enough it is lethal. Sure, he untaps his island. Why not? Turn on Mutavault. That's a Merfolk. Yep. 6, 11, 16, 21. You're dead. There is the Mutavault there once it comes up. Well, that's the pretty Mutavault. Well, that's not a normal one. There we go. There's the normal one. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure. There's a lot more counting than was needed there, I feel. But, sure. So another quick game goes over to Joel in this case. That's the kind of start that if Dan can't interact with it, he's just dead. Interestingly enough, if Dan had instead played the Liana there and minused her, he would not have died because Joel would have only had 2 Lords to attack with, which would have been 3/3s, and a 4/4 Mutavault. Or, sorry, he would have had... I still would have had 2 Lords to attack with. He would have played the 3rd Lord. That would have made them 4/4s. The vault is a 5/5, so it's only 13. So Joel would have had to attack 1 more turn still to finish the game, which could have found Dan his damnation, but he decided to go Lingering Souls instead. And thanks to C's claim, he had an island. So that's one of the nice interactions Merfolk has with those enchantments. All of the lords except for the Regeries give Island Walk to other Merfolk, so it's pretty solid. Engineered Explosives in Dan hand, as well as a Noble Hierarch and a Forest and a Godless Shrine. So this is going to be a keep, for sure. Yeah, Dan doesn't even have a second thought about this. Forest into Hierarch turn 1, and a pass of the turn. Pretty straightforward there. Joel's going to go ahead, draw his card for the turn. Really wants to see a turn 1 Ether Vial if he has his way. Let's see what he has. He has a Curse Catcher instead. Okay. So, not the best turn 1 play. However, not, could be worse, could have been nothing. So, there's the Curse Catcher there. Sacrifice it, counter target instant sorcery spell unless the controller pays 1. Are we going to play a 0/1? No, so he's going to go ahead. He's going to back up a bit. Take a couple points of damage here. Nope, he's going to play a 0/1 Tarmogoyf. Okay, Joel has his second land. Here we see a second Curse Catcher. I love that these guys can attack and get through this Goyf, no problem. Oh, that's going to keep the Goyf being a 0/1 forever. Sure. I don't know if I like Relic being brought in here for this game. I mean, maybe, but it's not great. Yeah, Dan takes 1, falling to 19. He is being very safe with his life total. As you see, he didn't shock last turn. Merfolk, it's going to win through damage. So if you're cautious of your life total, you could see it work well in your favor. It looks like Joel opted not to play a Spreading Seas last turn. That's interesting. He could have cut Dan off of that Godless Shrine, which would have been pretty huge. I like Cody's line. I like block with Tarmogoyf on the Curse Catcher. Seems like a good choice. Tarmogoyf is now going to grow to become a 2/3. So Joel at the moment has Master of the Pearl Trident, Mutavault, Kira Great Glass Spinner, and Spreading Seas in hand. Yeah, I mean, I would like to see. I would like to see Dan be more aggressive here. This is just not. I mean, yeah. An attack for 3 from the Tarmogoyf. If he wants to, he can go ahead and play explosives on 2, but I don't think that's really going to do anything. Yeah, Akira is the obvious choice, I think, there. It just hoses the cards in Dan's hand in some sense, but yeah, Joel does have the option if he wants to, before damage, sacrifice or make Dan exile a card from his graveyard or himself even. Yeah, I think Joel just missed that line. He decided to... Yeah, actually, that's true as well. He could have just put EE on 1. I guess Dan doesn't want to trade his Hierarch. I don't think Dan has another land, so I think he needs to keep his mana available to him is his idea. I don't know if it's right or not. I mean, you know that you're going to lose one of these lands to Spreading Seas, so maybe you have to be a little safer. Okay. Oh, yeah. There you go. No mana for you. Well, that Siege Rhino is never getting cast, I'm pretty sure. An attack for 2. It's going to drop Dan to 17. Yeah, I mean, the EE on 1 now is pretty good, I think. It's a little unfortunate that he put the Spreading Seas on the double land. Yeah, Martin pointed out it does cost him his Hierarch, and I think that's what Dan's thought was. I don't think that's a big deal. I think you're fine to trade Hierarch for 2 Curse Catchers and a Relic. That's just a trade in your favor every time. I think Dan was being a little too cautious with his mana again, though. He's being very, very defensive this game. Yeah, like right now, EE on 1 is insane. Why he doesn't do that, I don't know. I think that's just way too good. I think Dan is focusing too much on having a Lord get killed. This is an attack for 4 now. He can go ahead and he could path. Yeah, I agree, Cody. I think he's being far too conservative with his lines here. He's playing very, very safe. He may still get rewarded for it if Joel can't kill him fast enough. But, yeah, I mean, he's regardless of what he puts in on 1 or 2, he's going to lose something of his own. He's going to lose Goyf or he's going to lose Hierarch. The Goyf right now doesn't do anything. It's a 0-1, so that doesn't matter at all. No, I just think he's being far too safe. Okay, well, he can cast Siege right now if he wants to. I imagine he's going to be shocking, or maybe we can get a basic forest here again. I think he. Yeah, I think he was trying to get a forest, but then he realized that his forest was underneath that Steve's claim, so gets an overgrown tomb instead. Again, if he wants to now, he will have the option of playing this Siege Rhino. So it looks like Dan is now going for the EE on 2 play. You may as well use blue mana. I don't know why you wouldn't. Dan's trying to decide if he wants to go for Lingering Souls or EE here. I mean, he can go for both. He does have that option, of course. If he goes for just EE, he can also pop it. It looks like he's going for the EE plan. Again, not using the blue mana. I don't know why that is, but decides to use both his colored lands that actually matter to his deck. That's a little unfortunate in terms of tapping, but yeah, Tarmogoyf no longer matters. It'll die to the EE. Relic's going to go ahead and eat that Verdant Catacombs. Okay, turns on Mutavault. Here comes an attack for 7. At the moment, it is unblockable. Assuming he kills this Lord, it'll remain or it'll change that. He will lose the Tarmogoyf, of course. He's gonna go ahead and. Well, now I'm totally confused. I don't. What? You put the E on 2 and then you path the Lord. Why not path the Mutavault? And then just... Okay. So, I mean, if Dan tries to block, Joel can kill the Tarmogoyf. With the help of that Relic of Progenitus. Yeah, Dan can't block here because he just loses Goyf if he does. He's going to block. That's like the worst one because that just dies as it is. It doesn't even make Joel think, it just kills it. Sure, he can crack the E to grow the Goyf. Got him. Got him. I like Martin's line. Crack EE, grow the Goyf. That'll take care of it. Sure, he decides to crack the Relic. I don't know why he didn't even do that. That's just... What? No, wait, what? Did Dan sacrifice the spread? What happened here? Did Dan sacrifice that? No, not yet. I didn't think so. Man, I don't know. I don't know why Joel cracked that Relic. I don't know why Dan blocked that Mutavault. I don't know what's happening here. Well, Dan opting not to crack the EE yet. Wants to leave it. Siege Rhino seems like the play here. Yeah, I mean, at this point, that EE does nothing except for get rid of Spreading Seas, which that doesn't matter. Yep, so there is the Rhino. Dan goes to 11, Joel falls to 14. So the path is clear if Joel wants to go ahead and play a Lord here to get another attack in for 7. There's a Master of Waves instead. So that's going to make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 2/1 Elementals tokens. Let's bring this boy up. Master of Waves. There he is. The 2/1 Merfolk for 4 mana. Protection from red. Elementals get +1/+1. When it comes into play, you get a number of 1/0 blue elemental tokens. Well, I mean, I don't know. A third Shelling Events for Dan. His hand right now is a Lingering Souls, and I don't know what the other card is. Another Siege Rhino. Dan plays 2 Rhinos. I didn't know that. Well, I mean, they're pretty good. Yeah, I definitely don't agree with Dan's EE on 2 line here. It's just, I agree that 2 is the most relevant casting cost for Merfolk. However, he just his lines after he played the EE on 2 don't make any sense to me. Or even before. Dan adding up, doing some math here. I mean, these elementals just eat this Rhino. If he puts 3 in front, the Rhino goes down. He takes 3 for his troubles, but Rhino down is Rhino down. Lingering Souls doesn't really do anything. Just going to go ahead and do Lingering Souls instead, though. I don't know. I think I play second Rhino there. Okay, a couple spirits. If Dan wants, he can flash it back. He's going to go ahead and do that right now. Man, if he has a Lord, he gets punished so hard for this line. 1, 2, 3, 4... 5, 6, 7. So if Joel has a Lord, this is game over. He gets to turn on Mutavault, and thanks to it being both an Elemental and a Merfolk, it'll get +2/+2 before, and then there is 7 damage on board otherwise, thanks to the Curse Catchers and the Master. So if he has a Lord, he just wins. Oh, all right. There's a Master in his hand according to our spotter. So this should just be game over, assuming Joel does the math. One thing that's not always remembered is that Mutavault does have all creature types. A lot of players look at it and say, well, it's in the Merfolk deck, so it has the Merfolk creature type. It does, but it also, in this case, gets the bonus from the Master of the Pearl, or the Master of Waves, which is very, very relevant here. Instead, Joel's just going to swing with 5 elementals. I dislike that line greatly. Sure, Dan's just going to kill them all. Apparently there's also a Master of Waves in Joel's hand, I've been told, which our spotter is questioning why he didn't play that first, as that would have made the tokens 3/2s, and they would not have died to the spirits. This is going to be an embarrassing Master of Waves. Well, that's unfortunate. That's going to get him 6 tokens. right. Well, I mean, I think Dan's still dead. There's a Siege Rhino, which will just swap the life totals here for the players. Cody being very critical of Dan in every aspect of this match. There is the second copy of Siege Rhino. This will swap the life totals for the players. It's still lethal. It's still lethal. All Joel has to do is play the Lord he has in his hand, and it's game over. Because Dan still has islands, and there is still nothing in play that costs 2. Well, I guess that's a mistake. The Lord will die to the E, so Dan's line of playing explosive on 2 would be justified. But he's going to go ahead and play Scavenging Ooze, probably. That's my guess. Okay, he passes the turn. Does not cast Scavenging Ooze. Okay, here we see a Marrow Regery is my guess. Yep. Okay. That's not even a Lord that costs 2. Doesn't give Island Walk is what's key there. Okay, there's the Master of the Pearl Trident. So now has access to all the colored mana he wants. So okay, so Dan has to pop EE first, which kills the Master. Dan's just dead. Yeah, Dan's just dead. There's too many elementals. Those are 3 power elementals. Sure, there goes EE. Master Pearl Trident dies. That costs 3. That doesn't die. Sure, that dies. Why not? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 14, plus 8, 32 damage coming across. Dan can block 6. Dead. All right.